I guess you guys liked the last one, so here's more sampling of Xerjoff in speed dating style. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel. Today we're taking fragrances, and this is Xerjoff Speed Dating Part 2. This is the series where I plow through samples. I give my very first impression on the scents. Most of them are scents that I've never smelled before. I already did an episode about this on Zoologist. I did it on Mind Games. And this is actually Part 2 of my speed dating endeavors with Xerjoff. You guys liked the Part 1, as I mentioned in the intro. So we keep on keeping on with my other samples from Xerjoff. These are a little bit more obscure. In the first episode, I touched upon some of the more popular scents from the brand. Namely, there was Erba Pura, La Capitale, Cruz del Sur 2, and I can't remember which other ones. These are some other samples that I have lying around. Today, we're going to be sampling Golden Green. This one here is part of the coffee collection. Then we have Oesel. Then we have, another one from the coffee collection, Golden Mocha. Then we have Laylati. Then we have Fars, which is the only one that I remember smelling from these, and that was a while back, so I can barely remember what that smells like. And last but not least, for today's session, we have Malaysia. And this one here is from the Oesel collection, and I seem to remember from the notes or from the descriptions on Fragrantica Perfume that this was a pretty stinky one, so I'm quite excited. I also have more Xerjoff samples and a lot of discovery kits from other houses that I'm really keen to present to you in this type of format, so stay tuned if you like this format. There's much more to come. If you're new to this style of video, let me just remind you how all this works. I'm going to be spraying these fragrances on strip, which is kind of a novelty for me. I usually spray all my fragrances on skin, but with 6 or more fragrances, it's really hard to find place on skin, and I become incredibly confused at the end. So yes, I'm going to be spraying on paper, very briefly going through the impressions that I get from the fragrances, and ultimately I'm going to assign a score to the opening only. I will not discuss the dry down, I will not discuss the longevity, because this is not the type of format for that. This is a very low type of interaction format. If I like any of these scents, I'll probably migrate them to the first impression comparison type of format where I give them a full wear. But in this one here, we're gonna keep it speed dating style. Last but not least, and I've been implementing this in my latest episode, I'll be spraying my favorite fragrance from the session directly on skin. This is especially important because some fragrances perform and smell completely different on skin, so I really want to give these a fair chance. I can't do it for all of them, but I'll do it for my favorite one. And if you've watched my unboxing of Papillon, you know exactly why this is important. If you've been following this channel for any length of time, you know about my thoughts on Xerjoff. My relationship with the house is a little bit hit or miss, and despite owning barely a handful of Xerjoff fragrances right now, I've gone through many bottles. I've owned a lot of them. I sampled many more, so I know the house very well. And every time I get a new Xerjoff fragrance, I'm super excited, I'm super pumped, because the Xerjoff fragrances are exciting. They're very fun, they're very in your face, and it's an exciting experience from the unboxing to the actual first wear experiences. Then, with time passing, I get kind of bored from the fragrance, maybe because I know the DNA so well, and a lot of the fragrances tend to smell sort of the same. And despite my criticism about the Xerjoff house being a little bit lazy with their perfumers and being a little bit lazy with their creations, I do really respect the house because they really deliver on a type of fragrance. And yes, they're not for the niche snobs, they're more for the commercial type. They're for the people that are transitioning away from designers and that are just opening the door to niche. Again, it's very fun house. I really like the concept, and love it or hate him, as a frag fanatic, I feel that I owe him some degree of respect, even just for spreading the gospel of fragrances and really help the industry grow. So thank you to Xerjoff, because what they stand for allows for more niche brands to grow, allows for beautiful brands like Papillon to flourish and to put stuff on the market that actually sells. But enough of the rambling. These videos are already long as they are. So let's get right to it. Let's just pick out the first one here. I'm gonna go with Laylati, which I seem to remember is the one inspired by Black Afghano, or maybe it's not actually inspired by Nasomatto Black Afghano, but I seem to remember the subtitle of this being something like Absolute Afghano. Maybe I'm getting the whole fragrance wrong. Maybe this one is a completely different fragrance, but the name kind of rings the bell. So, all right, let's get to it. These samples here are not the best. Xerjoff should be ashamed to be using such bad samples, but as I've been sampling a lot of these discovery kits, I feel like this is a very common sample type, and it's just a handful of fragrance houses that use higher quality stuff, namely Amouage The other one is Electimus. They use exceptionally good samples. So yeah, let's hope these work and it's not a repeat of the Mind Games episode. 2 good sprays from the sample on strip should be enough. Yes, this one here is the Black Afghano inspired one. I remember correctly, the name effectively rang a bell, so yes. I'm going to be extremely biased by the fact that this smells a lot like Black Afghano. It has the same sort of resinous smokiness. It's very reminiscent of Black Afghano. I do notice a difference though. This one here is a lot fresher, a lot more herbaceous, a lot more medicinal. Black Afghano is deeper. It's, again, Black Afghano does not really smell like hashish or like weed. It's just a resinous, smoky type of thing, a little bit oody. It has a little bit of a diesel type of oodiness. This one here does not have that. It does not have the same oiliness. So this one here, imagine Black Afghano, if you smell that. Again, a resinous, smoky type of scent with a lot more of a medicinal note up top. This is fresh-ish. I would say this is mid-tone centric. It's actually quite piercing. The medicinal note is very apparent. It's very almost nostril clearing. It almost smells like Vicks Vaporub on the top. But the resinous smokiness, the labdanum or whatever it is there that creates this kind of like a dirty type of resin, it's very, very apparent, and it's actually insanely similar to Black Afghano. If I close my eyes, actually, if you gave me this without telling me it's a Xerjoff, I would immediately say, oh, this is a Black Afghano. It's, yeah, it's a little bit harsher. Black Afghano is smoother. It's a lot more, not wearable because I don't know what this wears like, but it's a lot more, it's smooth. It smells more like chocolate. It smells more like patchouli. This one here is a lot more sharp. I like it. It's not bad. I mean, I like Black Afghano, so. I would give this opening, especially again, this exercise with this speed dating style of episode here is designed to kind of mimic you going into a shop and smelling fragrances for the first time off strip and trying to like come to a conclusion. So my grades are very much based on the fact that I'm putting myself in third person and I'm trying to imagine myself in a shop and smelling this for the first time and coming up with a conclusion if I like it or not and which bottle I would ultimately opt for, if any. So this one here would be definitely on the interesting side. I would say this is a 7 out of 10. Okay, for the next sample, we're going with Golden Mocha. This one here is again from the Coffee Break collection, I think it's called. And I seem to remember that there are like 3 or 4 fragrances in here. I can't remember which one this is. It might be the one with the citruses, because then there's the Green Mocha that I also have the sample of, and that one there is definitely the one with the juniper. I'm not really sure which one has oud or which one is the more stinky one. Let's see, because the idea of citruses in coffee is not really intriguing to me. I don't know, there's kind of like 2 things that don't really go together. But nonetheless, let's give it a try on strip and see how this goes. All right, hopefully the fragrance sample works. Yeah, shit. Okay, we got 2. Okay, I can already smell this in the air. It's very strange because it is the citrusy one. And as I suspected, it's a very difficult type of weird pairing. The citruses, the fruitiness with some sort of a... I don't smell coffee per se like this, but... this is a strange one. Xerjoff does citruses very, very well. I have to give it to them because their citrus fragrances are very realistic. They have a definite zing about them. And I do like them, but I don't know, there's something about this one here that is... it's strange because there's an earthy tone in here. Maybe there's like a patchouli base. I'm kind of getting Amouage Outlands type of vibes. But that one there is a lot rounder, it's a lot smoother, and there's a lot more vanilla. This is sharper. The citruses are more sparkly, and the oudiness or whatever is in here, the patchouli oudiness or earthiness here is much more dry and bitter and dusty. I'm not picking up on coffee per se. Maybe it's just a facet of this patchouli. Maybe the bitterness is the coffee, which is mixed in this base. The interesting thing about this fragrance is that it's very clearly defined into two blocks, let's say. So there's the top block, which is these citruses, kind of sweet, kind of sparkly. And then there's the bottom block, which is this kind of earthy patchouli thing. And the separation, again, it kind of reminds me of Outlands, but it might be just due to the fact that these notes don't really blend within each other and they don't really cross in a smooth way. So they keep this barrier between them. I think that the contrast is interesting. I was expecting much worse. It's a little odd. I think I like this a little bit more than the other one there, Laylati or whatever it's called. This is a little bit more unique. The other one reminded me a lot like Black Afghano, and this one feels fresh and new. I like this. It's definitely not my style, but the opening alone is very interesting. If I would walk in a store in third person and smell this, I would be like, this is really cool. I never smelled something like this. What's this? Golden Mocha. I would give it a strong 7.5 out of 10. I really like this. Okay, the next fragrance on the list is Fars. This one here is from the Oud Stars collection, and I definitely remember smelling this. This was a while back. It was a couple of years ago, and I was so entranced by this fragrance. I wanted it so bad that I went kind of like on a binge search for it. I never got a bottle because this one here was incredibly difficult to find at discounters, and even on discounters it was like $2.70. So I never sprang for it. And I don't know, there's something about this that is not popular enough, which makes it expensive. It makes it kind of unique and difficult to find. I remember this being some sort of an ambery, salty-ish type of thing with some green notes. I remember it being quite unique, so I don't know. I don't remember if there's oud in here or whatever. My taste has changed definitely. We'll see if this one here impresses me because I haven't smelled this in a very, very long time. Okay, hopefully the sample works as usual. Surprised because I've had these samples for like 7-8 months and they're not clogged up. Okay, I spoke too soon. This one here does not work. Let me get a couple sprays in, try at least. Oh, come on. Well, this sucks. I got a little bit on there, so it will suffice, but see what I'm talking about when it comes to samples of expensive brands? If I were to get this or buy this or walk home from a store with a sample of this, I would be extremely disappointed. I'm not surprised, so my expectations are low, but yeah, not the greatest presentation. So I like it off the bat, but I don't remember it smelling like this at all. This is way sweeter than I remember it being. Again, maybe my taste has changed. Maybe I'm less tolerant towards sweet fragrances, but this is a lot more Xerjoff than I remember it being. I remember it being quite unique when comparing it to your usual Xerjoff stuff, you know, like Naxos, like Alexandria 2, like Erba Pure, because those were the days and those were the fragrances that I was sampling and having or owning. And this one here felt insanely unique. So it just goes to show you how much taste changes, and I've been getting into more bitter, into more smelly things, and this one here feels insanely pedestrian, insanely likable. It's still good, but yeah, I don't know, kind of a surprise here. I'm not really sure if in a positive way or not, just surprised. But let me just get to the description. So this smells like a little bit of an oudi base. Maybe not necessarily oudi, definitely woody. It's dry, it's sweet. There's a woody amber thing in the base, which is very strong and very apparent. And then there's a green component up top. The green component is, it might be something like pine. It might be something like it comes to mind like a green tree type of thing. So it's like cedar, pine, it's like pine needles. It's very resinous, a little bit balsamic. I think there's a floral in here, but I don't know what it is. It might be rose. I think it's rose. I think this is a rose fragrance. And this is so weird because I distinctly remember smelling this whenever that was, a while back, a couple of years ago, and not picking up on the rose because I was comparing it with Alexandria 2, which has a lot more of a rosy note, and this one here didn't. But I'm definitely getting a lot of rose here. So actually, that balsamic note that I was talking about, the green note, it's actually the rose stem. So this is a very metallic type of rose. There's still some greenness in there, but it kind of reminds me of, now that I'm smelling it like this, it kind of reminds me of Oud Silk Mood by MFK. It has that sort of a metallic type of a rose oud combo, a little bit more masculine. I'm not really sure if this is sweeter or not. I kind of remember this having a little bit more of an ambergris type of saltiness, but it's not apparent at all. I like this a lot. It's balanced, it's refined, it's elegant, it's definitely well designed and put together. But maybe I'm biased about all these rose fragrances that I've been smelling, so I'm not as impressed as I smelled it when I smelled it. I really do feel that this is a good Xerjoff scent. It's a lot more adult as a Xerjoff scent. This would not appeal too much to a youthful crowd, but if you're tired of the roses, which are stuff like More Than Words that I smelled last time, which is a lot more punchy, a lot more vanillic, a lot more in your face, this is more subtle. I like it a lot. This is, again, putting myself in third person mode, smelling it in a shop. For the first time, this would probably be like a 7.5 out of 10. It's quite good. I really like this. Next sample from today's session is Oesel. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what this smells like. I can't remember anything about this scent. All I can tell is that it's from the Shooting Stars collection, just because I know the type of sample box. This one here might be one of the more feminine type of scents, because I don't remember even reading about this or researching it. So I don't know, maybe I just skipped this thing altogether. But nonetheless, let's give it a spray. Let's get a sample out. All right, hopefully this works. Yeah, it's okay. Shooting Stars collection, Oesel, let's see. Wow, this is bright. Orange blossom in your face, oh my God. Wow, I like this. This is fun, this is exciting. Yeah, definitely orange blossom, definitely a lot of like citrusy vibes here. It's fresh, I like it a lot, wow. This definitely smells a lot like a woman's perfume. I'm not really sure if Xerjoff has marketing towards women or men specifically, but this is a lot more feminine, definitely. Okay, so the citrus opening immediately is kind of fading off, and it's leaving place to some sort of like a honey, maybe like a vanilla. It's very smooth, it's very sweet. The orange blossom is incredibly apparent. I love orange blossom. To me, it's a very clean type of note. It smells like beautiful clean sheets. It smells like summer, it smells like fresh air. There's something about it that really reminds me of like fresh wind. And yeah, fresh wind in the summer. It's like that beautiful uplifting wind that comes right when you need it after a hot, humid day. And when it finally arrives, it hits you and it dries you out. Everything is more beautiful, everything is fresh, everything becomes more clean smelling. And this is kind of the feeling that I get from orange blossom. I personally already have my favorite orange blossom fragrance, and it's still the Fragonard that I reviewed on my channel. What was that? Fleur d'Oranger Parfum. Very beautiful. This one here has sort of the same vibe, but it's a lot more feminine. Again, this is a lot more white flowery. It's beautiful. I like this fragrance a lot. I was surprised, and it's so cool when you don't remember what the fragrance is and you have zero expectations. This really hit me with a blast of fresh air. It's really, really good. Yeah, I'm not getting much other than this orange blossom, this sort of a sweet honey vanillic type of note. So I don't know if there's much else in here, but what you get is pretty good. And putting myself in third person mode again, well, obviously you need to like orange blossom, because some people are extremely put off by the note, but if you like it, I feel that this would leave an insanely good impression. So I don't know, I think that this is a 7.5 out of 10, maybe 8. This is definitely the more impressive from the bunch, at least to my nose. Next one on the list I'm pretty excited about. This one here is Malaysia from the Oud Sars collection. You don't really hear much talk about Malaysia, especially on YouTube, because I'm assuming that it's one of the more stinky ones. And the Oud Sars collection has some hidden gems in there. You guys keep recommending Luxor, which I need to absolutely smell. I smelled Gao in the past and actually featured it in one of the first impression comparisons. That was harsh. It was burnt rubber type of oud. Then I smelled obviously Alexandria 2. I also smelled Alexandria 3. What else? Well, Fars now. So Malaysia, again, I seem to remember this is something like Laotian oud in here, maybe Cambodian oud. So it might be a little bit more of a barnyardy oud. And yeah, I can't wait to get my nose on this. Let's try it out. Hopefully the sample works. Kind of darker liquid in here. Nothing too crazy, but let's see. Okay, thank God, that works. Yeah, this one here is definitely one of the more oudy ones. I have to say it's more of the barnyardy oud. It kind of reminds me of the opening of Ether, but without the citruses. This is a lot more of a darker version of Ether. Has still that very sweet type of barnyardy type of fermented oud, which I like a lot, which is in also other fragrances like King Blue by Amouage. And yeah, this is good. I like this, but it's a little bit too sweet for my taste. I feel that Xerjoff has this thing where on their more stinky fragrances, they kind of blanket the stench with some sort of a heavy sweetness just to like tone everything down, maybe like to smooth it off. And again, I do think that it's a good choice for the brand because Xerjoff is not really appealing to the stench fiends like me. So this is a good way to kind of like introduce some funk without overdoing it, but it's a little bit too sweet for my taste. There's something in here which I can't identify. I don't know what the sweetness is. It smells fruity in a way, but also kind of ambery. It just smells like the sweet component of this fermented oud just turned up to 11. Something is kind of bothering me about this. It's almost distorting the other notes in here. It's almost like when you turn up the volume of the stereo or your sound system too high, it goes beyond the capabilities of the system itself. Everything becomes crackly, everything becomes screechy, and you can barely hear the individual instruments anymore. This kind of smells like that. It smells like they overdosed the sweetness and you can barely smell anything else in here. I feel that this was a good concept, but they tried to make it more palatable. And paradoxically, again, to me at least, it's not. It's a little bit too, it's screechy, it's edgy, it's screechy, it's too punchy. Oud is supposed to be quiet. It's supposed to be, not quiet specifically, it's supposed to be elegant. It's supposed to be refined. Sometimes even the more stinky type of oud can be refined and elegant. This is not that. This is over the top, overdone. In the last speed dating episode for Xerjoff, I remember saying that Ether from the Chemi collection is kind of like the Erba Pura version for niche heads. It has the same sort of appeal and interestingness of the funky oud. That appeals to a more mature audience, someone that is searching the stench. But this one here is, I feel that it kind of follows suit, but in a worse way. This is just a little bit too much. This might be something in between Erba Pura and Ether. This might be something a little bit more edgy for the people that are looking for a very fruity, very sweet fragrance that has a little bit of funk in it. Again, the funkiness is beautiful. I get it. There's a good oud in here, but it's completely drowned out by whatever this fruity thing is up top. So yeah, again, third person mode. I walk into a store, I smell this. Definitely interesting. I would give this though, it's not as refined, so I would give this probably like a 6.5, maybe 7 out of 10. Last one on the list for today's session is Golden Green. Again, this one here is from the Coffee Break collection. I seem to remember the note breakdown for this, and it featured maybe juniper, maybe some sort of a fern, or maybe pine with the coffee. So I'm expecting something a little bit more light, a little bit more wearable. Let's give it a go. I think that the greenness might serve better with the coffee note. I'm not really sure how this goes. The other one was interesting. I think I liked that one a lot. And it actually might be the one that I spray on skin if this one's bad. But yeah, let's see how this one goes here. Wow, this one here is really interesting. This one barely smells like a Xerjoff. I can definitely pick up the coffee in here a lot more than the other one. The green notes are fresh. They're very uplifting. They're very metallic. I feel that they pair a lot better with the coffee. Everything is more elevated. The other one had two distinct phases, as I said. It had a very citrusy, sweet type of opening top, and then it had the basiness of the coffee oud patchouli or whatever that was. This one here is a lot more, everything is like put together up there. And this one's good. I like this a lot. Wow. I'm very surprised because, again, from the notes that I remember seeing, this was not exciting at all to me. And I never even gave it a thought, or never even researched it, or never even looked for a bottle or even a bargain for that matter. This one is actually quite good. It reminds me of something. There's something about it that is not new. It's crazy because you smell stuff and you start noticing patterns, you know? It's like really difficult to reinvent the wheel. It's kind of like when you listen to a lot of music and a lot of music variations at that, and you come across a new band, you can instantly pick up on their inspirations and what they're drawing from. You can say, oh, they have a little bit of A, B, and C in there. And with fragrances, it's sort of the same thing. It's really hard to invent something completely new. It's good. I like this. This is a lot more adult. It's a lot more masculine. This is easily the most masculine from the ones that I smell today. I'd probably wear this. I could probably pull this off no problem, like on a daily basis. It's very much non-offensive. It's abstract enough that you wouldn't necessarily point out coffee right away. It's not like Kerosine's Follow, which is a massive coffee scent and everyone knows that you're smelling like espresso. This one here is a lot more, it's a lot more nuanced, it's a lot more refined. I think that this is very well put together. I don't get any of the typical Xerjoff dry down or basiness in here, at least for now. I think I like this one the best paired probably with Oesel. That one was the more intriguing one because it was so different. I'm really curious to see if this one here was perfumed by Chris Maurice, because this doesn't smell like one of his creations. Malaysia does, for example. Also Fars to a degree. This one here does not. Third person mode again. I walk into a store, I smell this. I definitely would not say that this is the most impressive. This would probably be drowned out by a lot of other stuff that's in the store. But if you know what you want, if you know that you're searching for a little bit more of a refined, wearable thing, this could be the one. I would say that this is a strong 7.5 out of 10. Again, maybe 8. I think I like Oesel a little bit more, so I might be spraying that one on skin. Just to recap, today's session was a lot more interesting than last time, in my opinion. If last time I really concluded that Xerjoff is a good entry-level brand for niche perfumery, is really wow-inducing, a really fun, exciting brand to sample and to buy, actually. These ones here are a little bit more off the beaten path, and I actually like them a lot more. Surprisingly enough, the one that I liked the least was probably Malaysia, because I think that that oud note there that had a lot of potential was completely tarnished and just drowned out by whatever that sweetness was. So not into that. And I think that the one that I like the most, which is ultimately the one that I'm going to be spraying on skin, is Oesel. It was really surprising, maybe because I didn't know what this was, so I didn't have any sort of expectations. But this was really nice. It was fresh, it's soapy, it's clean, it's very summery in a way, but still very dense. It has that Xerjoff wow effect. It has that Xerjoff punch in your face, but still delicate enough. And I want to see if on skin this becomes a sweet mess or not. I really hope that they keep the cleanliness, and I really hope that it's balanced still. The other one that I liked was also the golden green, but I don't know. I think that that on skin would be a lot more predictable. And yeah, let's spray Oesel on skin and see what this is about. Let's give it 3 sprays. Overall, again, I really do recommend sampling stuff. Even if you think you don't like a house anymore, even if you think that you've graduated from that type of scent profile, go back and there might be some stuff that you really want to reevaluate. And even going back to a lot more simple things, maybe you wore Naxos, maybe you had Naxos and then you grew out of it and moved to a lot more interesting or more niche things. I think that it's really good to go back even to stuff that you initially moved on from, in the case of Naxos as my example, because you might discover that you have maybe newfound appreciation for that fragrance. Maybe you understand it more for what it is. Maybe it's not trying to surprise you anymore. And again, you have a newfound understanding and respect for that type of scent profile. I feel that the more you search for these weird, abstract, and artistic type of scents, the more you become skeptical and the less you can enjoy these unique creations. So it's really good to look back and ground yourself, maybe going back to mainstream designers, just to appreciate how far you come with your taste. It's not an infinite range that you can explore. There's going to be diminishing returns, as with everything. I mean, I've been there and done that because I was into other hobbies like headphones and hi-fi audio, where I found myself spending magnitudes more just for like a minute percentage increase. And if you don't periodically look back and really appreciate how far you come with your taste and development, you're going to be increasingly bitter and dissatisfied of what's next. So I do think that sampling Xerjoff, even if you're a niche snob like I am, is a good exercise because you really understand the house better. You have a newfound appreciation, maybe, or not. But it's still, again, it's a good exercise. It really grounds you. It really helps you understand how far you come. All this being said, I feel that these speed dating episodes for Xerjoff have actually proven quite useful also for me. I know the house a lot, but going through fragrances like this that I probably wouldn't have touched. Case in point, I've been sitting on these samples for 7 to 8 months and I haven't touched them. It's cool, it's fun, and speaking of, let's see how Oesel has developed on skin. Alright, so I am a little bit disappointed because the fresh effervescent type of orange blossom note that I found on strip is way darker. My skin does that. It really kills acidic notes, so all those fresh citruses are kind of gone. The scent has become kind of like a shadow of Bee by Zoologist. It has that very strong honey note, very strong vanillic note, and a little bit more of a one-dimensional floral note, in this case, obviously, the orange blossom. I think it's good. It's not over the top, it's not overdone, it's not overly sweet. It's definitely a lot more wearable than something like Sintra by Memovari. This is something that I would not buy a full bottle of whatsoever because it's not my thing. I like my orange blossom from Fragonar. That one is absolutely beautiful, and it's like probably maybe a fifth of the price of this, so take that. But yeah, overall, happy I tried these. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Hope I sparked your curiosity to go sample even stuff that you maybe set aside. Get out of your comfort zone. Keep sniffing. Do not fall into the elitist type of trap. That's a very lonely place. It's a very bitter type of place. There's nothing really to be gained from there. So yeah, overall, fun times. I like Xerjoff. I'll keep giving them a chance with their new releases. If you like this video, I'll do a part 3 with new samples. But yeah, I guess that's it. See you in the next one then. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It always helps the channel and it's massively appreciated. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. Many more videos to come. See you in the next one. Cheers.